single slash tore through reality without warning. The apocalypse Kim Dokja had spent 10 years reading about was no longer fiction. It was here. From the flames emerged something nightmarish. A monstrous insect creature with a skull like face radiated pure, primal terror. The beast seized the victim in its claws. Blood dripped as sharp talons dug into helpless flesh without mercy. Only 6 people remained standing against the monster. The countdown to their deaths had officially begun. A deafening roar echoed through the darkness. There was no escape from this nightmare, not for anyone. The armored demon revealed its full horrifying form. Blue eyes burned with murderous intent as it surveyed its prey. 2 giant bears roared at the remaining survivors. The beasts demanded fresh blood, and they would not be denied. A lone swordsman stood among the fallen bodies. Carnage spread across the battlefield in every direction. But this was not where Dokya's story began. His mind flashed back to the moment everything changed, when he finished reading that web novel. A subway train screeched to a violent halt. Sparks flew across the dark station as passengers lurched forward. Then a massive explosion ripped through the subway car. Fire and debris flew in every direction as screams filled the air. Golden horns emerged from the darkness below. Something monstrous was awakening beneath them all. Dokya instinctively shielded a woman as passengers panicked around him. The creature loomed above them, casting its shadow over everyone. That is when his eyes widened in sudden recognition. He knew exactly what this was. He had read about it. His phone still displayed the Apocalypse novel on its screen. The story he spent a decade reading was coming true. Dokya declared aloud that he knew this story. His years of lonely reading were finally going to matter. Terrified passengers murmured in growing panic all around him. Chaos spread through the subway car like wildfire. 10 years of reading alone had prepared him for this moment. Fiction had become his new, terrifying reality. And then darkness consumed the scene completely. The nightmare, he realized, was only beginning. Faint embers glowed in the total blackness. Destruction smoldered in the heavy silence that followed. Pillars of light suddenly pierced the burning sky above. The apocalypse had truly, undeniably begun. Dokya stared at the city engulfed in flames before him. Destruction spread everywhere his eyes could see. 2 survivors stood frozen amid the falling debris. The chaos surrounded them completely, leaving nowhere to run. Without warning, a blade swung down with explosive force. Someone powerful had joined the fight. Metal clashed with a blinding flash of light. The impact sent shockwaves rippling outward in all directions. The figure crashed through crumbling concrete with terrifying power. Raw strength shattered everything in its path. Debris rained down in the devastating aftermath. Nothing remained standing after that single catastrophic strike. For a moment, darkness consumed the scene once more. The tension hung heavy in the suffocating silence. Then Dokja emerged from the wreckage, swinging desperately. He gasped out a single word through gritted teeth. Embers scattered across the pitch-black void around him. The battle's aftermath lingered ominously in the air. Dokya's eye gleamed with fierce determination through the darkness. Embers danced around him like dying stars. The swordsman demanded to know his identity immediately. Sparks flew from their violent clash of weapons. Their blades collided in another blinding flash. Both fighters refused to back down even an inch. Motion blurred as attacks flew with incredible speed. The battle's intensity reached its absolute peak. Suddenly, Dokya's eye widened with realization. Something completely unexpected had just occurred before him. The swordsman lunged forward with devastating speed. Dokya barely managed to dodge the lethal strike. Steel clashed once more with an explosive impact. The shockwave tore through everything in its vicinity. Debris scattered across the empty space between them. A brief moment of stillness followed this destruction. Dokya emerged from the chaos completely unfazed. His cold gaze showed absolutely zero fear. His hand reached through the swirling debris deliberately. He was far from finished fighting. A sinister smile spread slowly across his face. Something dark and dangerous was about to begin. The screen faded to complete black once more. Silence hung heavy with unbearable anticipation. But to understand what brought him here, we must go back to before the apocalypse began. Dokya's finger hovered over episode 3149 on his screen. The final chapter of the novel awaited him. He read the ending with mixed emotions washing over him. His expression shifted from joy to deep concern. His finger tapped on episode 3149 one last time. 10 years of dedicated reading had led to this moment. The screen went dark after he finished reading. He had become the only person who knew the truth. He alone knew how everything would end. That forbidden knowledge was about to change everything. Letters began floating against the cosmic backdrop. The title materialized dramatically before him. The words formed clearly: Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. This was where his real story truly began. Glowing orbs scattered across the twilight sky above. Reality itself was beginning to shift and change. Survivors stood watching a mysterious figure above the water. Something miraculous and terrifying was happening. Dokya's coat billowed in the strange, otherworldly wind. He could sense exactly what was coming next. His figure stood alone at the water's edge. The prophetic vision was slowly fading away. Then a creature's sinister grin filled his vision. The Dokaibi, the calamity bringer, had finally arrived. Dokya jolted awake on the crowded subway train. A powerful memory had suddenly struck him. The subway plunged into total, suffocating darkness. Dokya's eyes widened with horrified recognition. Panicked passengers stumbled blindly in the dark train. A woman nearby whispered something about an imp. Dokya's eyes locked onto his phone screen instantly. The novel's words were matching reality perfectly. A glowing orb appeared floating inside the train car. Passengers stared at it in confused terror. A cute horned creature called Diabrete materialized before them. Dokya's eyes widened in complete disbelief. Chapter 2 had officially begun. The paid service was about to start. Dokya watched as passengers surrounded the floating creature. Fiction and reality had finally merged completely. The Diabrete spoke in garbled, incomprehensible language. Confused passengers wondered aloud if it was real. But Dokya recognized it immediately from the novel. This creature was the calamity bringer that caused disasters. The Diabrete tested its audio connection impatiently. Passengers around him grew more confused and irritated. A man stepped forward and demanded answers aggressively. The Diabrete mentioned that paid service would begin soon. Angry passengers surrounded the floating creature threateningly. Dokja knew he had to intervene immediately. He grabbed a nearby woman's hand protectively. He told her firmly not to move a muscle. The Diabrete's eye turned a menacing, blood-red color. Blood splattered suddenly as passengers froze in absolute shock. Trembling legs stood in rapidly spreading pools of blood. The massacre had truly and horrifically begun. Passengers screamed as blood splattered across everything. This was no dream, no movie. This was real. Dokya's expression hardened with grim, cold certainty. His last remaining doubts had vanished completely. The Dokaibi mocked their peaceful, ignorant past lives. Those easy, comfortable days were officially over. Desperate survivors offered money in exchange for freedom. The Dokaibi listened with twisted amusement. The company director stepped forward with arrogant confidence. He promised unlimited wealth in exchange for their lives. The director waved stacks of cash at the creature. He foolishly believed money could solve anything. But flames erupted and burned the offered money instantly. The Dokaibi threatened to take his life next. The creature summoned a massive golden blade menacingly. It decided to demonstrate how to properly earn coins. A channel notification appeared floating above everyone present. The constellations were now watching them all. Blue light engulfed the passengers across the entire car. Dokya stared in shock at the sudden transformation. A new notification appeared directly before Dokya's eyes. Main scenario number 1 had finally, terrifyingly arrived. The Dokaibi wished them all good luck mockingly. Failure, it warned, meant instant death for everyone. Passengers screamed as explosive energy erupted around them. Pure, uncontrollable chaos consumed the subway car. And there, on the edge of apocalypse, the chapter ends. Subscribe now to witness what happens next.